Great to see you here. Congratulations on taking the first step to create your ultimate life. This is part one of the three-part video series I promised you. In this video, I'll give you the 5 principles of success that form the foundation of the ultimate life. To make anything worthwhile happen, it has to be built on a solid foundation. That means we're not going to be chasing any fads or any quick fix processes. The things you build using these principles will last and serve you the rest of your life. You may already be operating with one or more of these principles firmly embedded in your life, in how you conduct everything you do. If that's true, you're ahead of the game, and congratulations to you. Principle number 1, truth. One of the casualties in today's world of download and double-click solutions, get-rich-quick schemes, and done-for-you success is truth. Without a bedrock commitment to truth and honesty, whatever you build will fall down. I've chased those false dreams and was never satisfied with how it felt. Cash by itself is not satisfying. Position and power alone are not fulfilling. The only real fulfillment comes in using your gifts and talents in the service of others. That can only happen when founded on truth. The opposite of truth is pretending. Pretending you're accomplishing something you're not. Lying about what you have and don't have. Faking as if you're achieving more than you are. You can lie to others, but you can't fool yourself. At least not for long. You see this all the time in social media and in conversations in real life. You may know someone who has a really bad habit of doing this. Your BS meter goes off every time they talk. You probably feel the same way about much of what you see in the online world. In the very first video, I said what I have to give you was founded on a completely different path. This system and process is based on fundamental and foundational truth. This means you need to be honest with yourself about who you are, where you are, what you really want, and what you're willing to do to achieve your dreams. Those may seem like simple questions, but I can tell you that as a coach, I often talk to people who cannot truthfully answer those questions. Principle number 2, desire. We all want stuff. Most of the time, that's all we do is just want. We call that daydreaming or wishful thinking, and we all know how effective that is. Desire is one of those fundamental things that has to come from inside you. Your desire must be real and rooted in something that's important to you. A true desire is not just seeing something or someone and saying, I want that, or I want to be like that. It might be easy to see a big house or a well-dressed person that looks like they have money and say, I should have that. It's also easy to envy the relationship someone else has with his or her life partner. It's easy to wish you had the same business opportunities or business success that somebody else appears to have. None of those are effective desires. Now, it will take some thinking and some exploration in your own heart to figure out what you truly want. After you make the first list of things that come to mind, the next step is to figure out why you want the things on that list. What's attractive to you about that goal? What will you feel like when you have it? What would you do if you had it? What difference will that make in your life? When all those answers are clear to you and you can feel them without any struggle, then you know you have something you really want. The opposite of discovering and connecting with your true desires is a feeling of entitlement. Unfortunately, it's become more and more the norm to believe that the world or the universe owes us everything. Somehow we're simply entitled to success, contentment, and the position that someone else has. The truth is, we're entitled to exactly nothing. One way to think of this is the saying, expect nothing, create everything. Someone is credited with saying the best way to predict the future is to create it. The sooner we understand these truths, the less the destructive feeling of entitlement plays a role in our lives. When we realize that we can create our own desires and from that place have anything we want, then we're in a place to create the power we need and create results. Principle 3, imagination. Little kids have boundless imagination. When you were little, you could play with nothing at all and imagine all the parts that were required. You could take sticks and rocks and create an entire world in your imagination. As we get older and, unfortunately, more jaded, imagination becomes a casualty of the real world. We lose our ability to truly imagine in such a way that it becomes real. We get contaminated with the disease. If I can't see it, it doesn't exist. That's a terrible and often fatal infection. Imagination is the beginning of all success. Nothing wonderful happens without the seed of imagination. Seeing in your mind's eye a future state before it happens is a gift and power you already have. Now, you may have unlearned it in the process of growing up, but it is something you can find once again. You can rekindle the flame and the excitement of seeing things before you create them. When those visions become real and motivating, and you connect them to your desire, nothing can stop you from creating the picture that you see. Without imagination, trying to create an outcome is simply a grind, a drudgery that eventually wears you down, burns you out, and then you go back to the "it must not be for me" that we talked about in the very first video. The opposite of imagination is the "just tell me how" disease. Thousands of internet courses are sold with the idea that if you follow the step-by-step process outlined, you'll create great success. Then people wonder why it doesn't work for them. Well, the information sold may have been precisely correct. It worked for that person in their circumstance with their gifts and talents. You're a different person. You have a different set of gifts and talents. You're in a different circumstance. Step-by-step instructions are good for assembling a baby crib or a piece of furniture. They're not good for building a dream or creating the ultimate life. They're missing the key ingredient, you. Principle number 4, optimism. Now, this principle is a long-lost art. Optimism is a choice and doesn't come because everything's going good in your life. We all know it's super easy to be optimistic when everything's going great. That's not the hallmark of a real optimist. An optimistic outlook is a choice we make about how we view our possibilities. A person who chooses optimism seeks the gift in every circumstance, regardless of the challenge. They think things will work out instead of expecting failure. An optimist believes that life happens for you and not to you. An optimist finds the pony in the pile of poop. Optimism is a strength and a powerhouse in making things happen. So let me be clear about why. A 20-year study conducted by Dr. Martin Seligman, who's the foremost authority on that subject in the world, revealed that people who are optimistic live longer, make more money, perform better in business, sports, music, and every other endeavor. They have better relationships, they get sick less often, and excel in every other measure in life. That cannot be an accident. A little thought about the physiology and brain chemistry reveals why. Optimistic people tend to have more positive neurotransmitters, more serotonin, more oxytocin, more dopamine. Those are motivating chemicals. Those with positive brain chemistry see opportunity where others see barriers. They stay committed when others give up. They perform better when others throw in the towel. Now, the opposite of optimism can be described as pessimism or realism. Some people think that being realistic is more effective. Being realistic is just a cute word for being pessimistic. The same scientific study revealed no difference between a pessimistic outlook and a realistic outlook. In other words, they're exactly the same thing with respect to the brain chemistry. Choosing to be optimistic in every circumstance is something you can learn to do. If you don't do that now, then that's a change you can make that will be a cornerstone in building your ultimate life. Being optimistic doesn't mean that grumpy things don't happen. Of course they do. The optimist knows for sure there's an opportunity in every challenge. Then they move forward with hope. The pessimist says, "See, I knew it wouldn't work. It always happens to me," and a dozen similar statements. You'll recognize these as coming from the grumble section in the very first video. Principle number 5, perseverance. Perseverance is another one of those characteristics that's getting lost. There is an intense focus on doing everything the easy way. We stare in amazement at those athletes that climb sheer rock faces alone. The videos of people doing amazing sports feats get millions of views. The stories about people overcoming obstacles in life and accomplishing great things despite handicaps and injuries and setbacks and other problems, they're the stuff of legend. Every single one of those people will tell you and do tell you that it is a simple matter of putting one foot in front of the other, choosing to continue and never quit. And that continuation is what gets you over the goal line. Think about it for a minute. It's a simple fact. If you set a destination, get on the path toward that destination, and continue to put one foot in front of the other, you will arrive. You may be able to figure out faster ways to move, more efficient ways to make the journey, and so forth. But the fundamental engine is putting one foot in front of the other. Perseverance simply means to keep moving, despite obstacles, no matter the setback, and ignoring the naysayers and the peanut gallery. There will be plenty of people who tell you to quit, who encourage you to give up like everybody else. That's usually because they're jealous of your goal and perhaps your commitment. Ignore them. Make a choice to keep moving and never quit. My experience as a coach is that your power increases every time you demonstrate a degree of perseverance. Every time you choose not to quit, but instead to stay on the path to your result, your power goes up. Now, the opposite of perseverance is the attitude that we all have, that everything should be easy. We live in a download and double-click world. We expect every problem to be solved in the length of a TV sitcom episode. Real life's not like that. Great accomplishments are not like that. Your ultimate life will not be like that. But when you have created and fashioned it precisely to your liking, it will be priceless, and you will abound in joy. Now, it's easy for me to articulate these 5 principles. It's also easy to see why they are bedrock principles that cannot be ignored or altered. There's just 2 questions left. Are you willing to make these principles part of your life in everything you do? If the answer is yes, then the next question is, how do I do that? Only you can answer the first question. Your degree of willingness and your determination to make whatever adjustments are required can only come from your heart. Your desire to have the ultimate life and your understanding that you as a divine creation are able to create this. The second question about how to do it will come in part 3 of this series, where we talk about the results equation. First, you need to watch part 2 of the series. There I'll show you how to break the cage that might be keeping you from getting what you want. We'll also talk about 3 critical traps that you must navigate to keep from quitting. Every effort you make to create your ultimate life is worth it, and you'll be more than thrilled at what you can actually do. I'll see you in part 2.
Ooh.